You're listening to the Ordinary Vegan Podcast, where we teach you everything you need to know about adopting a plant-based diet full or part-time. Our goal is to empower you to live a long and healthy life. You can find today's show at ordinaryvegan.net or on iTunes. If you have any questions, please send an email to questions@ordinaryvegan.net.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Ordinary Vegan Podcast. My name is Nancy Montori, and this is my new labor of love and 8th podcast. I always have to say thank you first for all the support you guys have given me on my previous podcasts. I appreciate every comment, every email, recorded message, and reviews. And speaking of reviews, if you get a minute, please review and rate these podcasts in iTunes, because the more reviews, downloads, and subscribers we get, the better chance of getting iTunes to help us spread the plant-based message. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I advocate a plant-based diet for health and wellness. A plant-based diet consists of unrefined or minimally refined plants. It's a diet based on fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and healthy fats. A plant-based diet does not include meat, eggs, or dairy. If you're just getting started, I recommend you listen to Ordinary Vegan's podcast number 1, Getting Started on a Vegan Diet. I'm here to serve you, empower you, and make your journey to a plant-based diet as simple as possible. Now, let's get started on today's podcast. Do you believe in signs from the universe? Today I was doing some spring cleaning when I came across a page that had been ripped out of a day-to-day calendar dated May 8th, 2012. You know, the ones that have those hokey sayings or inspirational quotes. My first thought was, why did I keep this? And then I noticed it was sent to me by a very dear friend, and she had written something across the top. It said, "Nancy, this was on my calendar when we talked last night. I think it speaks to you." It read, "Love will endure if you can let go." It went on to say, we so often distort ourselves and throw ourselves completely out of balance by trying to hold on to something or someone that needs to go or is already gone, a job, a person, or way of life. That little piece of paper is almost 4 years old, and it got me to thinking about how much I have let go in my life. Ugh, it wasn't easy, but it was always worth it. Way before I started blogging or became vegan, I had a very long career in the music business. It was a dream come true for me because at that time, all I cared about was music. One of my earliest jobs was at a record store in Boston. They didn't pay well, but I worked there because I spent all my money on music, and the record store offered discounts on albums to their employees, so it was the perfect job for me. One day, this man walked in and handed me a free album. I will never forget it. It was Bonnie Raitt, Home Plate. I was like, what? You give away free albums? And he explained to me that he worked for a record company called Warner Brothers, and yes, they gave out promotional copies of albums. I seriously couldn't wrap my head around it. I spent every penny I made on music, and here was a job where you get free music. Wow. At any rate, fast forward to 1978. I went from Boston to Indianapolis to visit and live with a friend. Yes, I said Boston to Indianapolis. My family was like, where are you going? We had to take the map out so that I could show them where Indianapolis was. Everyone thought I was insane. Why would you move to the Midwest, they said. You're a Boston girl. What about tornadoes? Not one friend or family member thought it was a good idea. But I thought, why not try it? As soon as I got to Indianapolis, I was broke, and of course I found a job at a local record store called Karma Records. This wasn't like any record store I worked at in Boston. This record store was huge, and their number one business was drug paraphernalia. Indianapolis at that time allowed stores to sell drug paraphernalia, and they sold everything from rolling papers to bongs. I also remember they sold huge triple beam scales that were obviously used for illegal purposes. I thought, why don't the police just follow the people who worked out of this record store with these triple beam scales that weren't even in boxes? But they never did. Go figure. Within a few weeks of working at Karma Records, I got a reputation. Local radio stations called my store manager and complained that I was harassing them by constantly calling them and asking them why they weren't playing artists like Prince, Ricky Lee Jones, and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on their radio stations. Because I was selling the heck out of those artists at the record store, and I didn't get it. At any rate, I guess I was really annoying them because my store manager told me to stop it. But guess what? A few weeks later, two guys who worked for Warner Brothers Records heard about this girl who was bothering radio stations in Indianapolis and came to visit me at Karma Records. They asked if we could speak in private, so we went to the office. They told me they hire people all over the country to visit radio stations and convince them to play Warner Brothers music. Then they offered me a job. They told me they would triple my salary, give me an expense account, and told me I would have to start this week because the Doobie Brothers were in town and I needed to go to the concert and introduce the band to radio people. I swear to God, I did not say one word. I just kept nodding my head. In my mind, I was thinking, is this real? Is Warner Brothers really offering me this job? Am I going to get free music for the rest of my life? Well, it was real, and I ended up getting a lot more than free music. I took that job, and I loved every minute of it. If I hadn't made that big move from Boston to Indianapolis, of all places, against everyone's wishes, I would never have had my career at Warner Brothers Records. Eventually, I moved out to the home office in Burbank, California, and became a vice president for Warner Brothers. Here I was, a blue-collar girl with no college education who became a vice president of a major record company. How did this happen to me? I went to visit a friend in a city I knew nothing about and ended up with a job with Warner Brothers. I took a risk, and I'm so grateful I did. The people I worked with and my bosses at Warner Brothers were so inspiring, and I got to work with some of the greatest artists of all time. From the Ramones to Neil Young to Van Halen to Joni Mitchell. It was a dream job and a dream life. Over 20 years later, things changed. The people I loved were fired, and they brought in people who didn't care about the artists. And even though I was making a lot of money and doing what I love, could I really keep doing it? Could I really work for people that didn't respect music and artists? That had been our mantra for over 20 years. It was always about the artist, and we would lay down on the railroad tracks for these people. What was I going to do? Could I really go back to being who I was before I worked for Warner Brothers Records? And what does going back really mean? Who was I without Warner Brothers? Eventually, I knew that phase of my life was over, so I did it. I quit my job. I was so scared at the time. I was so concerned that my job defined me and defined who I was. I was so worried that all my self-worth was tied into my job. Not to mention, I had no idea what I was going to do next. The next few months were hard because my ego wanted me to jump back into the game. I had people in the music business calling me about jobs, but I knew deep down inside it would be the same thing. The business of music had changed, and I would be working for people I didn't respect, and I couldn't do it. But what I did find out from all of that is letting go of that job was one of the best things I ever did. Eventually, I made the decision to follow another dream and go to film school. But that's another story for another time. The reason I bring this up is that A, I want you to know more about me personally. And B, I want you to believe that you can take a chance. You never know what's waiting for you. And that you can endure if you can let go. Take it from me, or that quote from Mr. Campbell I mentioned in a previous podcast. Let go of the life we planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. 5 years ago, I let go of another part of myself that I thought defined me. I was the Italian cook who loved cooking for everyone, especially my family. I was known for my meatballs, marinara sauce, pizza, stuffed brinjal, big Thanksgiving dinners, and it goes on and on and on. Well, as you all know by now, that 5 years ago, I went to see the movie Forks Over Knives and left that movie theater convinced of the connection between food and disease. And I wasn't going to eat meat or dairy again. Now, suddenly, I wasn't going to be the person that showered the people she loved with her Italian food. Now, what does this mean for the people I love to cook for? Who was going to do the cooking? Who was going to host the family food events? Wasn't my delicious Italian food something that defined me? How could I possibly let go of that? Well, I found out that I could take my talent for cooking and learn other ways to cook. It wasn't easy at first, but difficult things aren't easy at first. But they're always worth it. Think about it. Aren't some of the greatest things that have happened in your life the hardest decisions you have ever made? Going plant-based is a major decision. I don't want to pretend that it's not. It's a challenge. You kind of have to change your mindset because it's not a diet. It's a way of life. But there are so many benefits and no downside except for the learning curve. Personally, the things I love most about switching to a plant-based diet are, number one, my health. I had no idea that my cholesterol would ever be normal. It was always high, and I assumed it was hereditary. Why? Because I considered myself a healthy eater. Lots of lean protein and salads, not an overabundance of processed foods. Of course, I loved cow's milk products like cheese and yogurt, but that's healthy, right? Little did I know that I was causing my high cholesterol and high blood pressure by what I ate. Me, the health nut, was unhealthy. Go figure. It only took 3 to 4 months on a plant-based diet for my cholesterol to go from 240 with statin medication to 157. I was immediately taken off statin medication and have never had to use it again. I also love my energy. Fad diets leave you feeling tired. A plant-based lifestyle means never dieting again. You are lighter than meat eaters, and you keep the excess fat off for good. I am now less likely to develop heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. That's not a myth. A plant-based diet can prevent and even reverse degenerative diseases. My love for animals now extends to all animals. The single best way to protect animals from suffering is not to create a demand for their animal protein. I am no longer eating contaminated food. 96% of all chicken is contaminated with bacteria, which can cause food poisoning. Animal products are the leading source of food poisoning in the United States. And I'm helping to save the planet. Animal agriculture is one of the world's top destroyers of our planet. Last but not least, I am more peaceful and happy in my life. Veganism is also a spiritual journey. You feel more connected to your surroundings, and life becomes brighter and easier to maneuver. And those are just a few of the benefits. Now, let's answer some questions you have sent to me. But before I do that, I would like to share some inspirational letters from our listeners. This one is from Amber. Good morning, Nancy. I am new to the vegan world. My father recently adopted a vegan lifestyle to help reverse heart disease, and his progress is nothing short of miraculous. He looks and feels better than ever, and his blood work is confirming tremendous progress. I am taking this journey with him. My wife and I recently adopted 3 amazing children, and I am determined to give them the best nutrition possible. Luckily, they already prefer healthy foods over processed junk. My youngest son is 5 years old, and he recently announced that he will never eat an animal again. He has decided to take the vegan path with my father and I. Thank you so much for the work you are doing. Your passion for health shines through in your podcast, and I look forward to hearing more. Your story is inspiring and encouraging. Thank you. Signed, Amber. Amber, thank you so much for sharing your story and for your kind words. To think of the trickle-down effect you and your dad are having on your family is what it is all about. Spreading the plant-based message and sharing the gift of health and wellness with your entire family. This next letter comes from Charlie. I was borderline suicidal, anxious in crowds and out in society, and very depressed. I got up to 240 pounds with high blood pressure and could have cared less to continue to live. That was almost 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I transitioned to vegetarian, and I have been a vegan for about a year now. All of my mental health issues are gone, as is my IBS, bloating, hypertension, and weight. I now weigh 174 pounds and feel fantastic. I feel more like myself than I have since childhood. The saying, "You are what you eat," is 100% true. Signed, Charlie. Thank you for sharing that intimate brave story, Charlie. You have come so far, and your journey is an inspiration to all of us. Charlie's story brings up the connection between gut health and mental health. If you are suffering from depression or anxiety, please listen to podcast number 3, The Connection Between Diet and Common Mental Health Problems. Like Charlie, a plant-based diet could help with depression and anxiety. Now, a question from Diana. Hi there, Ordinary Vegan. My name is Diana, and I just started my vegan journey. I want to read more about vegan lifestyle and learn the roots and ways from experienced individuals like yourself. Are there any books you would recommend to get started? I also want to learn more about what it means to be a true vegan and the impact it has on animals and agribusiness, as well as the environment. I'll also take any cookbook recommendations. Light and love, Diana. Hi, Diana. The only thing close to what you're asking about that I have read is a book by the amazing Gene Bauer, founder of Farm Sanctuary. It is called Living the Farm Sanctuary Life. His book includes many of those topics you mentioned, and it includes some fabulous recipes from vegan chefs all over the world. Gene's book covers the basic tenets of farm sanctuary life, such as eating in harmony with your values, connecting with nature wherever you are, and offers readers simple ways to incorporate these principles into their lives. I had the opportunity to interview Gene Bauer, and we'll put a link to that interview in today's show notes. Now, before we go any further, I would like to take a minute to thank this week's sponsor, Aloha. I am very grateful to Aloha for being my first podcast sponsor. Aloha, like me, believes the best nutrients come from clean, plant-based whole foods. Aloha provides a variety of nutritional products to help you maintain a healthy lifestyle, including protein bars, whole food supplements, natural sweeteners, protein powders, and wonderful teas. All of their products are made from whole foods, they are non-GMO, and they are additive-free. I especially like the Sleepy Time tea, and they have changed my mind about protein powders. I'm not a big protein powder girl, but I really like the vanilla protein powder, and I especially like the pure ingredients. You can get a free trial of the protein powder or the teas by going to aloha.com, and on the top of the page is a link that says, Get Your Free Trial, and you just click on that to try some of their awesome products. Thank you, Aloha, and thanks to all of you for supporting my sponsor. They are helping me spread the plant-based message. Now, let's go into Ordinary Vegan's plant-based kitchen and make some no-bones baby jackfruit barbecue sandwiches. If you have never had baby jackfruit, let me explain what it is. Jackfruit is a tree species belonging to the mulberry family, which is native to parts of India, Asia, East Africa, as well as Brazil. It's quite unique and tasty, and it's rich in energy, dietary fiber, minerals, and vitamins, and contains no saturated fats or cholesterol. Like tofu, it makes a good base for other flavors. It also has a great texture and a chewy flavor. Since it's known for its shredding quality, baby jackfruit barbecue is a wonderful, healthy alternative to traditional barbecue. Here is what you need, and this serves two. Monique from our Ordinary Vegan community said, "Thanks for the no-bones baby jackfruit barbecue sandwich recipe. Made it for the kids last night, and they wolfed it down, no questions asked. So here we go. You will need 4 cloves of garlic minced, 2 teaspoons of grated ginger root, 1/4 cup of vegetable broth, 1 15-ounce non-BPA can of green jackfruit in brine or water, drained and rinsed well, and squeezed of the extra water. You need a couple of pinches of ground chipotle pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of liquid smoke, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup or more of your favorite barbecue sauce, and 1/4 cup of water. Here's what you do. You heat that vegetable broth in a medium saucepan over medium heat. Then you add the garlic and the ginger, and you saute for about 2 minutes. Then you add the shredded baby jackfruit, chipotle, liquid smoke, and salt. Make sure you shred the baby jackfruit with a fork. It's pretty easy to shred, and make sure there are no large pieces. And then you cook that, stirring for about another 4 or 5 minutes longer. If it's sticking, add a little bit more vegetable broth. Then, add the barbecue sauce and water and combine it well. Cook it on low for about a half hour, stirring every 15 minutes and adding more water as needed. The jackfruit will become fork tender. I like to serve the jackfruit barbecue topped with an oil-free slaw by combining 8 cups of green Savoy cabbage cored and thinly sliced, 1/4 cup of lightly chopped cilantro, 1 large carrot grated, 5 green onions sliced, 1 serrano pepper seeded and minced. In a large bowl, I combine all those ingredients, and then in a small bowl, I whisk together 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of maple syrup, the juice of 1 lime, and salt and pepper to taste. Then, just toss the cabbage mixture with the dressing. Now, serve the jackfruit barbecue on a hamburger bun topped with barbecue sauce and coleslaw. A healthy, delicious, plant-based alternative to barbecued animal protein. By the way, you can find baby jackfruit at Asian grocery stores, Whole Foods, or order some non-BPA cans online. Well, that's it for today's podcast. That went fast. I would love to hear your feedback, so please send me an email at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. You can find me and all my recipes and podcasts online on my website at ordinaryvegan.net. Please join our healthy Facebook community at Facebook.com/ordinaryvegan. The community is over 250,000 strong, and they love helping and supporting each other with a single goal of health and wellness. If you get a minute, please write a review on iTunes, because the more reviews the podcast gets, the more prominently it will be featured, which means reaching more people with our plant-based message. I will post an iTunes link in this week's show notes located at ordinaryvegan.net/playlist. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of Ordinary Vegan's podcasts, recipes, and plant-based tips. If you would like to record a voice message for this podcast, hit the record button on my website, ordinaryvegan.net. I would love for you to be on one of our upcoming podcast shows. Don't forget, April is Earth Month, and it's the perfect opportunity to have some serious discussions with your family about what you can do together as a team for the planet. Till next time.
Thanks for joining our plant-based community today. Together, we can accomplish great things. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of Ordinary Vegan's recipes and plant-based tips. If you have any questions or feedback, email us at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. Until next time.